He waited all night in that small café by the window, the one glowing softly against the cold winter night. Snow kept falling outside, thick and silent, covering everything in a blanket of white. Hours passed, but he didn't move. His coffee had gone cold long ago, but he stayed because promises meant something to him. Patience reveals true character and genuine love. It's easy to care when everything goes according to plan, when the timing feels right and the path ahead is smooth. But the real test of who we are comes when life forces us to wait to win things, move slower than we hoped when someone doesn't show up on time, or when uncertainty sits quietly beside us, asking if we'll still hold on. That night in the cafe, the man didn't just wait for someone he barely knew. He waited because something in him believed that people deserve grace, that sometimes circumstances keep good hearts delayed. While the world outside grew colder and emptier, his patience became a silent strength, not loud or dramatic, but steady and unwavering. He could have left, told himself it wasn't worth it, or that he'd been made a fool, but instead he chose to stay. That choice alone said more about his character than any words ever could. Patience isn't just about waiting, it's about how you wait. It's about sitting in the quiet moments without resentment, holding space for something or someone even when the outcome is uncertain. His calm demeanor, the way he watched the door each time it opened, wasn't out of desperation. It was hope, pure and simple. And hope, when paired with patience, becomes something powerful. It builds bridges between strangers, softens disappointment, and teaches us to see the world with gentler eyes. When she finally arrived, covered in snow, trembling from both cold and fear, she saw not a man frustrated or ready to leave, but someone who had kept faith in her. That simple act changed the entire tone of their meeting. Instead of guilt, she felt acceptance. Instead of judgment, she found understanding. Love doesn't always announce itself with grand gestures or fireworks. Sometimes it begins quietly with someone who stays, someone who waits without asking for explanations, someone who knows that behind every delay, there's a story. His patience that night wasn't just a reflection of his kindness. It was a reflection of his depth. It showed that he valued connection over convenience, presence over perfection. Many people talk about love as something that sparks instantly, but true love often reveals itself in the spaces between moments, in how we handle silence, disappointment, or delay. The world moves fast, and patience is becoming rare. But those who still know how to wait, how to give others the time they need, carry something rare within them. It's not weakness or passivity, it's strength, self-control, and empathy. It's the ability to see beyond the surface and recognize that everyone is fighting battles we may never see. The man in that cafe understood that. His quiet patience wasn't just an act of waiting for someone. It was an act of faith in people, in timing, in the idea that genuine love is never rushed, only revealed through the ones willing to endure the wait. Compassion often begins in unexpected moments. It doesn't always arrive with grand gestures or perfect timing, but in small, quiet acts that come straight from the heart. That night, when she walked into the cafe with snow tangled in her hair and fear in her eyes, he didn't see someone who was late or unprepared. He saw a person who had been trying her best to keep everything together. The way she held her child close, her voice trembling with apologies, said more than words ever could. Compassion bloomed in him instantly, not out of pity, but out of understanding. He didn't know her story, but he didn't need to. Her exhaustion spoke volumes, her shivering hands told of struggle, and her presence, even so late into the night, showed courage. Compassion isn't about solving someone else's problems. It's about recognizing their pain and choosing to meet it with kindness. In that moment, he could have chosen frustration. He could have been cold or dismissive, but instead he offered warmth. His gesture of pulling out a chair, offering her his coat, and simply saying, "You're here, that's all that matters," carried a quiet power. It reminded her, and anyone watching, that kindness still exists in a world that often rushes past people's pain. The snow outside mirrored the silence between them, but that silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was healing. It allowed two souls who had been bruised in different ways to find peace in shared stillness. True compassion doesn't demand explanations. It doesn't ask why someone is struggling or how they got there. It just says, I see you, and I'm here. That's what he did that night. And maybe that's why the moment became something unforgettable. Compassion, after all, has a way of transforming ordinary encounters into moments of grace. It softens walls built by fear and judgment. It reminds people that they are not alone in their battles. His simple act of patience and kindness gave her something she hadn't felt in a long time: dignity. She didn't feel like a burden or a mistake. She felt seen, valued, and safe. In life, we often underestimate the weight of gentle words and small gestures. A cup of coffee shared, a seat offered, a smile given without expectation. These are the things that heal quietly. Compassion is not weakness, it's courage. It takes strength to stay open in a world that teaches us to guard ourselves. It takes courage to care, even when it's inconvenient or when others might not do the same. That night in a tiny café, surrounded by snow, compassion revealed itself not through dramatic words, but through simple humanity. It showed that sometimes the kindest thing we can do is just to stay, to listen, and to let someone know that their presence matters. No matter how late they arrive, no matter how heavy their burdens may be, the coldest nights can lead to the warmest beginnings. There's something about hardship that strips away pretense, leaving only what's real. That night, the snow fell endlessly, painting the world in white silence. The streets were empty, the air sharp and bitter. Yet inside that small café, something soft began to form between two strangers. The man sat for hours, his breath fogging the glass as he stared out into the storm, unsure if he'd been forgotten. But as the hours passed, his disappointment turned into quiet acceptance. He stayed not because he was certain, but because somewhere deep inside, hope still flickered. That hope became the light that guided her to him, the woman who arrived at the edge of breaking, her child in her arms, her spirit worn thin from life's weight. The warmth didn't come from the coffee or the heaters. It came from the moment their eyes met. It came from the understanding that neither of them had planned this, yet maybe it was meant to happen exactly this way. Life often unfolds its most meaningful stories in places where we least expect them. The bitter cold outside only made the warmth between them more noticeable. Every word they exchanged melted a little of the frost around their hearts. She had come expecting judgment for being late, for being imperfect, but found acceptance instead. He had come expecting a simple date, but found something deeper, a connection that felt honest and raw, born out of vulnerability rather than perfection. The coldest nights reveal what warmth truly means. It's not found in comfort or routine, but in human connection. It's when we are at our lowest, most uncertain, that kindness shines brightest. He could have looked at her and seen only the complications, a single mother, a broken promise, a late arrival, but instead he saw her humanity. He saw the strength it took for her to show up at all, the courage to face rejection and still step inside that café. That recognition, that small spark of empathy, turned the night from something empty into something unforgettable. There's beauty in contrast, the way darkness makes light seem brighter, the way cold makes warmth feel sacred. The storm outside didn't just test their patience. It framed the moment, reminding them both that even in life's harshest seasons, there's always a chance for something gentle to begin. The night that started in loneliness ended in quiet companionship. The sound of snow against the window, the soft laughter shared over cooling coffee, became symbols of something new taking root. Sometimes the most meaningful beginnings are not loud or planned. They come in silence, disguised as disappointment shaped by circumstance. The cold pushes people apart, but it also makes them seek warmth, and in that search, souls often find one another. That night, surrounded by frost and uncertainty, two hearts began to thaw, proving that even in the coldest places, warmth always finds its way back through kindness, patience, and the courage to stay open when it would be easier to turn away. In the end, that cold winter night was more than just a meeting between two strangers. It was proof that fate works in quiet, mysterious ways. Sometimes life doesn't give us what we expect. It gives us what we need. His patience met her struggle, and together they found something pure in a world that often rushes past moments like these. It reminds us that love isn't always found in perfect timing or flawless beginnings. It's discovered in understanding, in staying when it's easier to leave, and in offering warmth when the world feels cold. So when life tests your patience, when the night feels too long or the weight too heavy, remember that even the coldest storms can lead to the most beautiful dawns. Compassion, patience, and kindness never go unseen. They always find their way back, often when we least expect it. Because sometimes all it takes to change a life is a little warmth shared on a cold night. This is HQ Infinite Stories, where every ending holds a beginning worth waiting for.